Today our group, which consists of Taya Sutherland, Amber Shepherd, Tara Fairweather, and Jaime Chen, as well as myself, will be presenting on the Mayan city-state Altun Ha. Topics that we will be covering in this presentation include the history, the main architectural features, achievements, as well as the warfare.
Altun Ha is an important archaeological zone from the Classic period. Once home to as many as 10,000 inhabitants over a 1,000-year-long period of occupation dating back as early as 200 BC, it was occupied as recently as the 10th century. Altun Ha was a wealthy ceremonial center boasting 2 main plazas and 13 structures, including the Temple of the Sun God. Altun Ha is not very far from the Caribbean Sea, and it formed part of a unique cultural zone along with other coastal sites. The city was a major trading center, and a large amount of jade and obsidian were found at the site, both of which do not occur naturally in Belize. The earliest evidence of the settlement at Altun Ha dates to 200 BC. Although it is likely that the nomadic hunting and gathering tribes lived there in the areas long before then. The first major construction took place around AD 100 in the form of a temple near the principal reservoir. But by the beginning of the Classic period, AD 250, the focus had shifted to the area which the visitors see today. This was to be the central core of the site for some 6 centuries. The northern plaza, Plaza A, was a primary ceremonial precinct until close to the end of the early Classic around AD 550 when construction was begun on the Plaza B. Construction at Altun Ha continued until AD 900, though a decline in the quality of the new buildings was evident 150 years earlier. As at other classic Maya sites, the society appeared to have been severely disrupted early in the 10th century AD. Although no single factor explains the decline of the Maya civilization, there is some evidence that the regional conflict may have contributed to the downfall of the Mayas at Altun Ha. The center was not completely abandoned after the decline, but appears to have been occupied for about 100 years after construction activity had ceased. It was once again reoccupied 200 years later during the 13th and 14th centuries.
Main archaeological features. We already know that Altun Ha is big on trading, so they had plazas to facilitate that. The 2 major plazas were Plaza A and B. Plaza A comprised of many different structures. The most important or the most major one would be A1, also known as the Temple of the Green Tomb. This structure was north and south aligned, and it had a broad stairway that led to 3 terraces. Plaza B, on the other hand, very similar to Plaza A with different structures, also had a most important structure, which is B4, known as the Temple of the Masonry Altars. This temple had 1 major stairway leading to the top. It was also the tallest structure throughout the site, towering at 54 feet high. This structure also had carvings of mask representing the sun god on the side of the temples. At the top of the temples, you can also find arches and altars. Something that distinguishes Altun Ha from other archaeological sites would be that no stele was found. And stele is a monument that's placed by the Mayans that have writing or ornamentation on it. The last main archaeological structure would be the large reservoir that was found or that was placed on the south side of Altun Ha. And this large reservoir contained a good amount or a big supply of water that will be used to help the community, whether it's drinking or growing crops.
Achievements. Altun Ha is relatively smaller in size compared to other areas, only measuring about 3 square miles. It is the closest Maya site to Belize City, one of Belize's most excavated and restored locations, and it's very easy to get to compared to some of its more hidden counterparts, which makes it very popular for tourists and visitors who want to experience a true sense of ancient Maya civilization from centuries past. It was a wealthy ceremonial center, boasting 2 main plazas and 13 structures. Within Plaza A, which is the larger of the two, is the site of a mysterious tomb discovered beneath one of the temples called the Temple of the Green Tomb, where jade, jewelry, flints, and skins were among hundreds of different remnants unearthed there. Other artifacts like shell necklaces and ornaments, pottery vessels, stingray spines used in ritual bloodletting, groups of church sculptures, remains of more perishable items such as cloth and wooden objects, and the remains of a codex, an ancient book made on bark paper, were also found. The fragments were too fragile to be reassembled, but they at least tell us that codices were sometimes buried with elites during the Classic period. Plaza B, adjoined to the larger Plaza A, is home to the largest temple at the site and what is certainly the most recognized Maya temple in all of Belize, the Temple of Masonry Altars. An altar is perched at the peak, which is believed to have been the focal point of the community's religious activities. Inside, several tombs were discovered that are believed to have kept the bodies of Altun Ha's high priest and also provided the most spectacular find ever at any Maya site in Belize. A 6-inch high, 10-pound solid jade carving of the head of the Maya sun god, Kinich Ahau, was also found in the tomb of an elderly male priest. These are pictures of the Temple of the Green Tomb and the Temple of the Masonry Altars.
Altun Ha experienced little to no war. There were instances of strife and disagreement among neighboring communities, but it was not to the scale of extreme damage or massacre. Altun Ha was more of a trading bypass, and it can be assumed that these minor disagreements were caused by trade-related things. Altun Ha was more politically unstable than war-ridden, which ultimately led to its downfall and abandonment.